If you're like most people, you have at least one social media profile, either on Facebook or LinkedIn or one of the dating sites, and most people have a hard time promoting themselves online, whether they're looking for professional connections, friendship, or even a date or love. Internet marketing expert Kate Houston is here to help. In fact, this is what she gets paid to do. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So, I hadn't really thought about this until I looked at your website, and I had so much fun looking at what you've done. You're a great writer. But the idea that we need to put ourselves out there on a profile and write about ourselves is such a challenge because people feel intimidated by doing that. Yeah. So you have done this wonderful thing, which is to help people create their narrative, their storytelling about themselves. First of all, this can really change people's lives, correct?
It can. You know, when you think about it, if you're going on a dating site, you're looking for a soulmate. If you find your soulmate, your life has changed. It can change your life if you find the right job. I mean, anything can happen.
And presenting yourself accurately really helps you find the right match, no matter what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the great tips that you have. How to avoid bragging. And the reason we brought this up is that some people just have a hard time. So, what do you write? Oh, I'm really great. I'm a nice person. Nobody wants to do that.
Nobody wants to say that, but I have tips. It's all good. What you do, first of all, is rely on anecdotes. That way you don't have to say, I'm funny, I'm fabulous, I'm a good worker. You let your anecdotes, your stories, speak for you and demonstrate that. The other thing is that there are ways of making it soft sell. And I'm going to give you an example of a client who was wildly successful, but at the same time, it was incredibly modest. So I had to approach his LinkedIn profile very delicately.
Right.
So what we did is we had a section where I said, I have an entrepreneurial spirit for which I am grateful. It has allowed me to launch several companies and work with the most inspiring people.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Tells the story, but it reflects on others and on a sense of gratitude instead of me, I did this, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. Although we
Great idea.
Yeah, and yet we did manage to get in there that he's very, very successessful and he's a risk taker.
So if somebody has traveled the world, instead of saying, I'm a sophisticated world traveler person, you can say, I've been lucky enough to go here, I've enjoyed meeting people there, that kind of thing, but tell your story.
Well, and the nice thing too is if, for instance, on dating profiles, I see this all the time, people talk about, I love to travel. Well, say what it is that you like. Say some of the interesting stories, some of the things that you saw. I mean, I had a client who herded reindeer in Norway. Like, say that.
That's your lead.
It's fabulous. Yeah, imagine.
Exactly. You'd want to know that. So let's talk about how to stand out, how to look different than everyone else, but be yourself at the same time.
Okay, again, that would be mainly with an opener. If you ever think of how you read profiles, you start reading the first few lines, and if it's not interesting, you stop. So those first few lines really, really count. I'm going to give you, in business, for instance, one of the biggest mistakes people make is that they are very dry. They approach it, Estelle is an office worker. She's been doing this for 20 years. I mean, there's nothing kind of fun or engaging about it. So I'm going to give you an example of somebody whose profile I did. It was a dating profile that we also used the opener for his LinkedIn profile. And he was a musician. So we started it with, when I was a boy, I picked up the trumpet and I began to play Louis Armstrong's It's a Wonderful Life. My mother cried. I was that bad. Okay. So
humor.
Very, very engaging, self-effacing, playful, humorous. I mean, right away you like the guy. He ended up, on his dating profile, he ended up going into how being a musician allowed him to travel, and so it got into his interest, so it flowed well.
And he got better, obviously, at playing.
Thank God. And actually, to that point, on his LinkedIn profile, that was his opener, but then it led to all his accomplishments as a musician today. So it had a wonderful...
That's really charming.
Yeah, it was very, very charming. It still allowed him to be extremely professional, but it started off so warm.
Well, and you're right, and the warmth and the humor makes that person seem approachable instead of seeming like perhaps they're up on a pedestal somehow. Your third tip that I love is understand your target, understand who you're talking to.
Yeah, a lot of people start writing about themselves. They get a dating profile, a LinkedIn profile, and they just begin to write. Well, don't do that. Really strategize. I mean, that's the thing about advertising. You have to really think of who it is you're trying to attract. So think of who that soulmate is that you want. Think of the qualities that you want in that person. Think of the employer who you really, really want to hire you. And then craft your profile in a way that resonates with them. Take your strengths, but focus your attention on what will resonate with them. And it sounds like a basic, but really it's a difference between writing and marketing.
Well, and it's also the difference between me talking about myself and me being interested in what you'd want to know,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So it puts you in a whole different category and mind space when you think about it that way.
Absolutely.
So your ad background has made you this wonderful, human connector now.
Yeah, I love that.
I think it must be the most fun job when it works out.
It's wonderful. Actually, I end up meeting, one of the things I've learned is that the average person, and you would know this just from interviewing the people you do, the average person is anything but average. There's always something interesting about them. And usually, actually, it comes down to their quirks. Like, there was one little guy, I'm calling him little guy, I did his profile. He was shy, and he was in his early 20s. And he loved strawberry ice cream, but he didn't like the strawberries, so I pulled him out.
And that made him endearing.
It was really cute.
He just needed to find a girl who wanted the strawberries he picked out.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Kate. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
We have posted Kate's tips and more information on our website, including a link to her site, which is called Try Sweet Talk. It's great reading. And while you're online, feel free to chime in for today's New Day Wants to Know question. What do you think is next for Amanda Knox? Please get a hold of us on Facebook, Twitter, or email us at newday@king5.com. We'll read your responses in just a few minutes. Still ahead today, meet some of the pink tie guys, given a different voice to the fight against breast cancer. But first, an electrifying performance from the Seattle Opera's production of Carmen when New Day continues. We'll be right back. Thank you so much.